What's good, friendly ghosts? So good news, I got my new computer a couple of days early and I just been setting it up and it's working pretty damn good. Now before we get started, because I did most of my first session, I still got some leftover footage from my old computer, but I did the new session with the North American version and it's going to be included in this. So on the upper right, you're going to see the new footage that I captured, and it's going to be in much higher quality than the last one. So that's just something to keep an eye out for. And we're just going to be pointing out the differences wherever there may be between both games. The JP version of the game is typically the harder version. There are points that it has been the easier version. Majority of cases, usually JP harder, and that's exactly the way I like it. This is a no item shop challenge. I'm going to be doing the JP version first, and I'm not trying to showcase everything. I'm just going through and just try to play it and enjoy the game, so that keep that in mind. During the JP version, I'm going through my routes, just playing it as I normally would, and then I go on and I do the North American version of the game and try to copy that as faithfully as I possibly can to get a somewhat decent comparison. It may not be tit for tat, but it's going to be, you're gonna make some jabs here and there. So last time we played against Frugal, we did up to the Helena prison. Biggest attack, which he usually takes his boulder and he chucks it at you, right? In JP, in North America, that did 20 damage. It usually does 20 to Shauna or the rest of the crew. Dart, it might do like 21, or Lavitz, it might do like 15 or 12 or something like that. In JP, that default damage is at 40. So that's on Dart. On Dart, it's defaulted at 40, and if you don't equip Shauna, it's probably going to be at 40 as well. That's definitely a buff, but what you can say is a nerf is that the magic attacks that the guards do towards the end, those do significantly less damage. Decently enough damage, about 7 ticks less, 5 ticks, 4 ticks, depending on who the character is. So it's a balance in that way, in that you typically want to get rid of the physical attackers first, whereas usually you want to do the opposite. You want to keep the physical attackers and get rid of the magic users. And JP is a mix of both worlds that can just flip on a switch, because if they do like unique magic attacks that aren't item spells, those typically do more damage, just like physical damage does more in JP. So it's a weird balance split, to make it harder in its own ways. But up until this point, we have not had any, fundamental differences between the bosses on a tendency scale. It's just been pure damage numbers and whatnot. I personally believe that the enemies, the AIs, are smarter in JP. That's my personal belief. Or they're much more ruthless. But other than that, just the damage boost, there hasn't been much difference other than that up to this point. Now, I played this JP version before, and I have made a chart in the first video where I made my comparisons, or what I consider to be roadblocks from this version to that version. In the North American version of the game, I said the only roadblock in chapter 1 would be what's that monster's name? That the Jingle Bells, and Introvertedowl. Gotta say the right D name, Introvertedowl. In my opinion, those are the only two enemies that you're going to have a challenge with in chapter 1. In JP, however, I said the entire chapter 1, everything from top to bottom. So we're going to get more into that, and I am going to tell you this right off the gate, that this next boss we're going up to, the Urobolus, is going to have a fundamental change along with the additional damage change, and we're going to get into that right now. I'll try to point out some funny stuff if I can along the way. One line I can't wait to look up is that famous line from Lavitz that people look at, they say, oh, that is such a horrible thing to say, you know, to a woman in 2020 or in these times. I can't believe this game, you know, they give the game a slap, you know, bad game. I can't wait to see what that line actually says. So in the American version of the game, which most people know, it has usually some sexist comments. And they all come from Lavitz. That poor dog. Oh boy. So he says to Shauna that you will make a good wife one day, and it's just a random choice of words that he just says, and Shauna replies, "Thank you." Now I know for a fact that line is different in the EU version of the game. In the EU version of the game, he says, "You are a good friend," and Shauna says, "Thanks." I don't know why they changed it to "You'll make a good wife one day," and when they took it from "You're a good friend," because Shauna's concerned about him doing too much because he's injured. I don't know what the JP version says, but I got a translator. I'm going to try to translate it. Hopefully have some fun with that. But that just about covers the pre-show. Before we get into this, I'm going to be doing some coaching in and out, you know, but I'm not going to be talking the whole way, just usually doing the slow parts, maybe making some comparisons, pointing some things out. But with that said and done, let's get into this gameplay. I actually got to put it up because I minimized it on my screen. But let's get into this. Alright, so here we are at that famous or infamous Lavitz line, one of his many, to Shauna, where he says, "You'll make a good wife one day." You know, Lavitz is casually just trying to sneak into them DMs, like right in front of Dart's face. But Dart don't even notice. So I'm going to try to translate this using a very reliable source, Google. I use it a lot of the time to try to impress my dates with some French. It never goes well. Anyways, we're going to get to this, and I'm going to start it off with what Lavitz says right here when he says it's a done deal. What does he say in JP? Okay, and in JP, the only thing that my translator is telling me that he's saying when he says it's a done deal is he's saying it's a rule. Well, he says it's decided. I got another one. It says it's decided. He says it's a done deal, and the translator said it's decided. Alright. Shauna, Lavitz, don't take chances. I want to see what he says there. Let me see what he says there. He says, "Lavitz, don't take chances." This is going to be comedy. I have to do this more often. I was planning on doing this for something else, but this works fine too. He says, "Lavitz, don't overdo it. It hasn't healed yet." Wow, that's actually pretty cool. He says, "Lavitz, don't overdo it. It hasn't healed yet." And then Lavitz responds, "Oh my god, please let this be something golden. Please be golden." He says, "You will be a good wife." It says the same shit. Okay, let me try to get a retranslated. Let me see. It might be different. You never know. It might be different. He says you'll be fine. No, you will be a good. No, let me get another one. Sometimes I can get multiple translations out of this. You will be a good. You will be a good house. You will be a good house. You're going to be. I'll be like you. What? You will be a. Okay. We heard that one already. Oh, God, let me try to get closer. He says something about luck. He says you will be happy. Okay, I'm trying to get one definitive version. I never knew translations would make me smile so much. Okay, you will be a good wife. We got that one, Lavitz. We heard that one. You will be a good pig? You will be a good pig? You? What the fuck, Lavitz? You're getting worse. He's getting worse. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, he said something about you'll find a good man. You'll be a good yukai? Come on, Lavitz, give me one more gem. One more gem. You'll be a. Oh, he says you'll be a. He says you're a nice person. You see, like you never know. He says you'll be a nice person. I'm going to be a good guy. I'll be a good guy. It's going to be love. I flipped the camera and it's giving me all sorts of different stuff. Lavitz is just pulling all the pickup lines out of his ass right now. You'll be a nice pig. That's my favorite one. You'll be a nice pig. I gotta screen save that one. I'm gonna screen save that one and put it inside the vid. Oh my god, please let me get that one again. You will be a good bride. Oh, that's it. You will be a good compliment. You'll be a good pig. Oh, I got it. Okay. Well, that concludes our translation session for Legend of Dragoon. I have a feeling we're going to be doing this a lot more in the future. We'll now continue with our regularly scheduled programming.
Yes! Ha! Oh! Oh, volcano! Hard pull! Yes! Ha! Oh! Oh, volcano! Yes! Ha! Oh! Oh, volcano!
So there's not really much difference in this first area in the prairie. It's actually I would say it's par the course the same as it is in both versions. With the exception is I think that there's one or two enemies that I think one enemy for sure that does just a little bit more than they do in the American version, and that's the vampire squirrel thingies that suck your blood, because I think that's like a unique magic attack, and unique magic attacks do more in JP. So I think that that's the main and the only difference that I can find. Again, I'm not searching every little secret out, I'm just playing the game, just trying to have my fun, but I think that's like the only difference in the prairie. The blood sucking does more damage than they do in the American version of the game. And you might notice like the American version seems to have like higher damage rolls in this area specifically, and that's because my levels aren't exactly even across the board. The only characters I would say you should keep an eye on for equal is Shauna and Lavitz. And just keep an eye on those two characters because Dart's one level behind because he got knocked the F out in that Frugal fight in JP. So on the bottom left, Dart's behind by one level. And I also think you get less experience. I don't know, it just seems like it's harder to get levels in JP too. But with that, I'm going to exit out of here, and I'll probably see you guys in a bit when we get to the cavern. And enjoy.
Spinning kick. Yes. Ha. Poof. Volcano. Spinning kick. Yes. Ha. Poof. Volcano. Spinning kick.
So you notice in JP version, I'm doing some little bit of some weird stuff. That's because this is a no item shop challenge. I'm not trying to waste my items and heals as recklessly, so I'm trying to save on to them. Because Lavitz got poisoned like a little dweeb. I'm trying to let him run and fizzle out, let him go down, and then going to go back in and we're going to get the free heal instead of wasting that potion. So that's my game plan over there. If you're looking like, why is he taking his time doing this weird stuff? Making it look harder than it actually is. That's why, because I'm trying to save up to my items and accidentally end up taking a bit more damage than I expected. But you know, that's kind of the part of the course with the JP is you usually get a little bit of unexpected into your diet, and that makes it a bit more exciting to play if you're a long time player.
Yes! Ha! Poof! Volcano! Yes! Ha! Poof! Spinning kick! Yes! Ha! Poof! Volcano! Yes! Ha! Poof!
Alright, so as we're heading into this Urobolus fight, the only thing to really keep in mind is that what I want to do in JP is I want Dart to get even in the levels. So if at all possible, I want Dart to live through this fight, if nothing else. So that bandana is usually there. People think it's there for no reason. Kinda is, but it isn't. If you want to swap, because you can't manually swap the items out unless you have something to replace it with, the bandana allows you to swap out Lavitz's headgear and put it onto Dart. So that's something a lot of people don't really recognize and understand, but that's there for that. There are other items in there in place later on in the game that's kind of like, oh, maybe there's something secret I could do with that too. That's not the case. Those are actually there for no reason. I don't understand why, but you know, give and a take. So heading into this boss fight, there are a couple of differences that I want to point out, and I want you to keep an eye out and keep track, because in the Intercontinental game, I keep coming up with different words. In the North American version of the game that we all play, this fight is a cakewalk, right? It's not really that much of a concern. And one thing I want to point out to you is he has a pattern. He goes through his normal set of attacks, but then when he's getting ready to hang up high on the ledge, he bites you once, and then he sprays you, the entire party. Then he hangs up on the higher ramparts. He always does that before he gets ready to hang on the ramparts. He bites you, one party member, and then he sprays. However, a difference here is not only does he hit harder in JP, but he also, when he gets ready to do his stance change, he bites you once, and then he bites you twice, and then he sprays you. So his damage cap in the normal North American game is usually around 40 with that combo that he does. In JP, it's around 60, so he's doing 60 damage on you on the regular, sometimes higher, as you'll see in here. He'll do nearly 100. I think he actually tops 100 on me. So keep in mind that as you go into this fight. And other than that, he hits harder, and that's just all I have to really say about that, and it's going to do the talking for itself. Hopefully you enjoy, and with that, I'll catch you later.
Yes! Yes! Ha! Oh! king. Yes! Ha! Hoo! Volcano! Yes! Ha! Hoo! Volcano! Spinning king! Yes! Ha! Hoo! Volcano! Spinning king! Yes! Ha! Hoo! Volcano! Spinning king! Yes! Ha! Hoo! Volcano! King! Yes! Ha! Ho! Volcano! Yes! Ha! Ho! Volcano! Ha! Ho!
So you can see there's a decent enough of a difference with that fight. That didn't go exactly the way I planned it. I wanted Dart to live, that was for sure. And about halfway through that fight, I figured that Lavitz was going to be a lost cause, and I didn't want to waste any healing on him. So I was trying to sacrifice Lavitz, and that's why I was attacking a lot when I couldn't hit him, and I was guarding with the rest. But what ended up happening is while I was trying to sacrifice him to get Dart extra levels, I attacked with Shauna, and I got hit with the 3-hit combo damage spread. He did 33 3 times in a row consecutively on Shauna, and then he did an additional spread of damage on Dart that topped it to probably like 99 plus, I don't know what it did on Dart, like, let's say 11. You know, that's ridiculous. You know, so that was unexpected. I didn't try to have Shauna die, it just happened. So when that happened, I started to panic. I started to panic a little bit. That was unintentional, but that's just what happens when you play JP. Stuff like that happens all across the board, and that's why that fight that's why that fart is harder than the rest, harder than the North American. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun playing it and having stuff like that happens. But with that, and that pretty much wraps all of this up. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully you enjoyed like me seeing this graphics update and performance update. And with that, I bid you all further adieu. May peace be with, always keep your heads up, deuces, those spells out of your stay cool, and if you like this content, be sure to show some love, but, always be sure to show some love to the people that matter to you. And this is ITOwl bidding you farewell and be cool. Peace and much love, deuces.